Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate your honesty. I think maybe not everyone would tell the truth when they're asked if they've gotten a ticket yet. I think we can all relate, to getting speeding tickets. So I appreciate that honesty and insight. I'm curious to know a little bit more about the actual life of being a truck driver. What are some of the best and worst parts you found?
As an introvert, it's really nice not having to talk to passengers. You don't have to deal with email hardly at all. It's very zen.
Yeah.
You're just out there and you can determine what you're listening to. You can determine the temperature of the cab. You can determine what you're going to eat that day for the most part. So you definitely have sort of a lot of control over your environment. Even if you don't have a whole lot of control over your schedule, you are kind of able to dictate, when you want to stop, go to the bathroom. You do have some leeway in terms of when you're going to get up, when you're going to go to bed. So although you are committing a lot of time, you do have a little bit of flexibility in terms of how you structure your day.
What type of person do you think is the best fit for being a truck driver?
Definitely someone who is patient.
Mhm.
There's a lot of waiting around, and in the learning process too, there's a lot of times where I got the sense during my training that what they were looking for wasn't necessarily so much trucking ability. To be honest, I think a lot of the other people in my class kind of caught on to a lot of the maneuvers and the driving habits faster than I did. What really counts, I think, when you're training is just patience and just the willingness to kind of take a breath and evaluate the situation. Obviously there are some things that require reflexes, but if you're thinking ahead and looking ahead, you can kind of anticipate those. Yeah, there was one guy in my class who actually didn't make it through the program, even though he, for the most part was catching on, but his attitude was really,
Hmm.
I think, what got him dismissed, if you will, from the program, because he was out there, getting frustrated and jamming the gear shifter around and
Yeah.
just kind of not demonstrating that headspace that you kind of have to be in if you're going to be doing it for 12 hours a day.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. I think if you can't get through training, it's probably going to be a tough one to do 12 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week, for a year or more. So that makes
For sure.
sense. What's the biggest downside or, sort of negative about truck driving you found in your experience?
I'd say the biggest downside is not having the features of a normal house. In the summertime, the company usually puts a limit on how long you're allowed to idle the truck for. And when you don't have air conditioning, if the truck isn't on, it can get pretty toasty in there.
Yeah.
So that's something I miss. In terms of like showering, you don't get to shower every day.
Yeah.
There's some times where the loads will line up where you're just running all the time. And it'll be like 3 or 4 days before you are able to take a shower. So
Yeah.
that gets pretty unpleasant. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot of downsides. I think everybody has like that really bad day in trucking, where
Yeah.
like everything goes wrong. You blow a tire,
Mhm.
the shipper messes up the load and you have to go back and switch trailers and whatnot. But for the most part, I think it's pretty tolerable.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like what you're describing are a lot of the creature comforts that, you and I and probably everyone listening is really used to. I mean, we're all used to, taking a shower a hot shower, even whenever we want, and from most people having AC and things like that. Do you think that you kind of have to be, just the type of person that doesn't care that much about that stuff, or do you just get used to it? You know what I mean? Like when I go camping, I'm okay with not showering for a couple days, but if I had to go a week, I don't know. I guess I don't know that I would be okay with it until I actually do it,
Yeah, it is one of those things where you do kind of get used to some of the downsides.
Okay.
I've definitely taken a few showers using wet wipes
Yeah.
before. So you develop kind of strategies over time to kind of deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe I'll have a tip for you. You tell me if you like this. Like when I go surfing, I fill up a gallon bottle of water and I put it outside so that it's in the sun so that when I come back, it's nice and warm. And then I take a shower basically right there by my car. And I feel like that actually works pretty well. It's a lot of water. And sometimes I'll admit I don't take a shower after I go surfing and I do that instead.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. You might get some funny looks from folks in the truck stop, but I'll definitely consider that.
All right,
That's
cool.
one thing. You definitely always have neighbors, when you're
Yeah.
trucking. A lot of these truck parking locations, you're kind of crammed in there like sardines. So
Yeah.
you're by yourself, but you're never like alone,
Yeah.
which can be a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah, that's actually one thing I was wondering about. I mean, have you made friends, with other truck drivers, or what's the community like? What's that part like?
I wouldn't necessarily speak super highly of it. There is one. There is kind of some camaraderie. A lot of the truck stops have like lounge areas where you can go and make small talk, and a lot of drivers definitely are eager to make small talk with you,
Hmm.
having been in the truck for hours on end or whatever. But it does have a tendency to get political a lot of the times. Trucking is very conservative.
Oh, you mean like real political conversations, or?
Oh yeah, yeah, they'll rail about the DOT and
Okay,
the government,
gotcha.
taxes, whatnot. So that can get a little out of hand sometimes. There's also the CB radios that a lot of truck drivers have. So, sometimes you'll hear people talking about fishing gear, motorcycles while they're driving down the highway. So there's definitely opportunities for connection. I can't really say that I've taken advantage of a lot of them. There's definitely a sort of generational difference with
Yeah.
a lot of the truckers out there.
Okay. Well, I mean, it also sounds like this probably isn't the type of job that you want to do if you want to chat with a bunch of people and make a bunch of new friends, right?
For sure, for sure. I mean, you can definitely talk on the phone while you're driving.
Yeah.
That's how I stay in touch with my family and friends. I do a
Okay.
lot of phone calls, but yeah, in terms of meeting people, not so much.
Cool. So,